I'll go live.
Okay, that'll be great.
All right. And we're live.
Okay, thank you. I want to welcome everybody to the August 5th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. And as far as welcome, again, August the 5th, 2021 was want to start the meeting. As far as, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Peter Maher,
Here, White Lake.
Steve Anderson,
Here, White Lake.
Mary Carlock,
Here, White Lake.
Matt Slicker,
Here, White Lake.
Rhonda Grubb, here, White Lake.
Okay, so we go ahead and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we go ahead and get a flag up there, John, please? I
Pledge allegiance
to the
to
flag
Flag
of the
the
United
United
States
States of
of
America
America.
and to the
the
republic
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 for which it stands,
one nation
One nation.
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Okay, so we have to go ahead. Everybody had a chance to review the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, I have two corrections.
Yeah, thank you, sir. What are they?
The corrections are the parcel ID number indicated for the property that we'll be reviewing tonight starts off on the agenda as 12-203. That should be corrected to 12-23.
Okay, thank you.
And the second change is the next meeting date, which should be changed to August the 19th of 2021.
Okay, we'll submit those two corrections as motions for change. Do we have support?
Support.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Grubb. Okay, we have two adjustments to the agenda. Can we have a roll call vote for approval?
Peter Maher,
Yes.
Steve Anderson,
Yes.
Mary Carlock,
Yes.
Matt Slicker,
Yes.
Rhonda Grubb, yes.
Okay, so we have made the adjustments to the agenda. Good as it stands. The amended agenda stands as for active moving forward. Have you had a chance to review the minutes from the July 15th, 2021 meeting?
Yes.
If you have, if there are no additions or corrections to the minutes, and I will accept a motion for approval.
I can make a motion to approve them.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Carlock. Do we have support?
Support.
Okay, Mr. Maher, thank you. So can we have a roll call vote to approve it?
Peter Maher,
Yes.
Steve Anderson,
Yes.
Mary Carlock,
Yes.
Matt Slicker, Rhonda Grubb, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we got the approval of the minutes and everything else. We don't have, as far as one of the, okay, there's another, notice that there was another adjustment that we had to the agenda that we don't have a call to the public before the continuing. So I'm going to go ahead and modify that by saying that we need to have a opportunity for a call to the public. And this is a point in time that someone from the audience or the public has comments of something that is not on the agenda. So at this point in time, we'll have the call to the public. And if there are people that have some information as far as that they want to address to the Planning Commission, please state your name and your address. John, do we have anybody in the waiting room?
We do not have anyone in the waiting room, and we do not have any public callers in the call at the moment. but it looks like Biao Win. Sorry, I probably didn't pronounce that right. Bo Win, yeah, and Brandon Scram have both joined in on video call.
They're on behalf of the applicant team.
They're on behalf of the applicant? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Mr. Nguyen, please, feel free to don't hit anybody while you're driving. So, a little levity there, sir. Okay, so moving on, we don't have anything as far as call to the public. We'll go ahead and go through as far as continuing business. And the item that we have as far as number 7 is new business. And what that is as far as redevelopment at 9328 Highland Road, located on the north side of Highland Road on M59 and west of Fisk Road, consisting of approximately 1.17 acres, currently zoned GB general business. The identified as parcel number 12-23-201-010. And the applicant that is here in front of us is requesting a preliminary site plan approval. And the applicant is White Lake Retail Management, LLC. And the address is 3200 Telegraph Road, Bingham Farms, Michigan, 48205. Okay, so we have all the people as far as the applicants on the call. Is there any other members of the app that we should be expecting except for the 3 that we have right now?
Nope, this is the whole team.
Okay, thank you. That's great. Okay, so why don't we go ahead before we hear from the applicant? Let's go ahead and go through the reports that we have. And Mr. Loughlin, why don't you go ahead and go up first? If you can, John, be sure to share the screen so Mr. Loughlin can go ahead and put his information on there. Okay, take it away, sir.
Mr. Anderson, can you see the letter that I'm sharing?
Yes, we can all see it, I think.
Very good.
Good.
All right, so I'll go through the engineering review. I'm sure Kathleen will get into some of the planning comments, but latest DLZ review on this project was dated July 7th, 2021. It's our first review, and actually we did end up recommending approval after the one review. So just a few comments that I'll go through with you, but generally this site is pretty much a slam dunk as far as from an engineering standpoint. It was developed previously not long ago for the Sonic, obviously, and redevelopment is not significantly different. So from an engineering standpoint, it's a pretty straightforward site. I'm just going to jump to the second page. Just a few items that we can just talk about as far as the site development goes. Just note that all the sewer leads are going to need, or the sanitary leads that are kitchen related for the new development are going to need to be routed through a grease trap. That's very standard for any type of restaurant food service facility. As there was an existing development on the site, there's some easements that'll need to be vacated with the realignment of some of the utilities. So that applies to the water main easement and the storm sewer easement. So again, pretty straightforward for a redevelopment. We just note that the stormwater for the site is going to flow to the existing detention basin. It's kind of like a regional detention basin for the developments in the area. But just wanted to have the applicant do a little bit of research just regarding detention basin maintenance so that it's clear what their responsibilities are as far as participating in any stormwater maintenance that might be necessary. Item number 5 just indicates that the Sonic plans indicated a water quality device. It's actually off-site from the Sonic development. We just want to make sure that that's in operation, good condition. So just want the applicant to do a little bit of due diligence on that stormwater device. So the water is being treated before it goes into the detention basin. Just note that actually the the impervious area is being reduced with the improvements, so there's no additional stormwater runoff that we'd have to worry about. So we're satisfied on the detention volumes. There shouldn't be any need for additional detention based on the redevelopment, and actually less flow going into the sewer, storm sewer detention basin. As typical, we defer to the fire department for fire suppression requirements. Just a note about reestablishing a benchmark on the site. Nothing we need to worry about here tonight. Item number 9 just talks about the front of the building, and Kathleen might note this in her review too, but it shows a 5-foot sidewalk in the front of the building. Per ordinance, I think a 7-foot's required, but they did show bumper blocks. So that might be the only item for discussion that I bring up tonight. Just kind of configuration of that sidewalk in front of the building there. We just note that the storm sewer easement on the westernmost segment of storm sewer is shown over the subject property line. So there might be some clarification required when we get the final site plan on whether they have jurisdiction or ability to do that work over in that area. But overall, very satisfied from an engineering standpoint. Site demonstrates feasibility, and definitely recommended our approval. So anybody have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Michael, or do you want to let Kathleen go and also let Justin go, and then circle back and have your questions? So you guys tell me.
Let Kathleen go and Justin.
Okay, go ahead, Kathleen. You're up next.
I'm going to stop sharing, Mr. Anderson.
Okay. Okay, Kathleen, if you could, Ms. Jackson, go ahead and share your screen to review your proposal. You're muted. There you go.
Okay, sorry. Can you see the screen?
No, did you hit share?
No.
Okay. Okay. That's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Excuse me. So as you stated earlier, this is a proposal for a new retail and restaurant development. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing Sonic building and construct a new building in its place, which will consist of 3,000 square feet of retail. And the western portion will be a restaurant and drive-through. The drive-through and outdoor dining are both special land uses, but because the property has been previously approved for such uses, no public hearing or separate special land use is required. The building complies with the setback requirements in the general business district, with the exception of the lot width, which is required to be 200 feet, and the site is existing at 148.8 feet. Additionally, the petitioner is proposing to keep 13 of the existing previously approved parking spaces that are located in the required front yard. The building is primarily consists of brick veneer on the lower half and ephes on the top third. It has awnings along the bay, all the bays of windows. We'd make a notation that the applicant needs to provide calculations for the amount of the facade that meets this requirement, and that needs to be at least 50%, although in the past, the Planning Commission and department have preferred 70% be these high quality materials. So we'd ask that the petitioner provide that information. Additionally, as well as a percentage of windows on the front facade, and that's required to be at least 30%. 53 parking spaces are required and proposed. Entry to the site is from a 25-foot cross access easement that runs the width of the property from Discount Tire and the Fisk Corner Shopping Center. The applicant we were unable to find a copy of the agreement that was required for the previous Sonic approval for that cross-access easement. So we would request that the applicant provide a copy of the agreement prior to final site plan review. Circulation is two-way. It's one way on the west side. I'm sorry, it's two-way on the east side, one way on the west side to accommodate the drive-through. No loading spaces are being proposed, although one is required by the ordinance to be 10 feet by 50 feet with 15 feet of height clearance. The applicant has indicated that loading and unloading will be done off hours. Planning Commission needs to determine if this is acceptable. As far as landscaping and screening, I'll just go over that briefly. This is not required until final site plan review, but we did receive a landscape plan. Primarily, it should be noted that a lot of the existing plant materials are being used to satisfy the landscape requirements. Although a site inspection was conducted, and the majority of the existing landscaped areas, with the exception of trees, are in poor condition. So we'd want to make sure that there's a bond in place, or the petitioner indicates, replacement of that plant material. And I noted a couple of items in the report that should be addressed in the landscape plan at final site plan. And that would be a note guaranteeing a 2-year guarantee and bond for new plant materials. A note that all landscaped areas that abut parking areas will be separated with a 6-inch curve. And a note that any landscape materials that are in poor condition will be removed and replaced with materials that meet the ordinance requirements as stated earlier. Going down to lighting, there are several areas of the plan that exceed the maximum foot candle. And the Planning Commission may want to discuss this with the conditioner, or with the petitioner rather. They have a notation that this is an existing light level. So the commission needs to determine whether or not this level of light is acceptable because it's existing. If any existing fixtures are relocated or replaced, we would recommend that they be brought into compliance with ordinance standards. The sconce fixtures that are located on the building do not meet the zoning ordinance requirements. As stated in the zoning ordinance, other types of unshielded lights and lights where the lens or bulb is visible outside of the light fixture are not permitted. So these sconces should be replaced with those that meet the ordinance requirements. There's one monument style sign and 4 wall signs. We just note that the zoning ordinance only permits 2 wall signs for this development, not 4. The 2 side elevation wall signs aren't permitted. At final site plan review, the applicant should provide detail on the wall signage and with respect to the front facade in the area of the proposed wall signs. Lastly, the monument sign has to have the address of the building in at least 6 foot high or 6-inch high figures. Trash disposal, the petitioner is proposing to utilize the existing dumpster enclosure, and we just note that although the materials are masonry, decorative masonry, they don't match that of the proposed building. So small item, but something that the Planning Commission should address with the applicant. And lastly, I went over the special land use approval. We'd ask that the applicant, with respect to the outdoor dining, that they provide the number of tables and chairs for outdoor dining. They thought it would be 12 tables and 4 chairs, or I'm sorry, 4 tables and 12 chairs. But we just want that noted on the final site plan. And also that the outdoor dining will comply with the hours of operation as stated in the ordinance. And lastly, that there's a note added to the plan that the noise level from any outdoor speakers will not exceed 70 decibels at the lot line. And lastly, a site inspection did show that the white metal fence in the rear of the property is in need of repair. And we just want to note stated on the plan, because they're going to retain that fence, that be brought into compliance and repaired.
Okay.
And if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you. Why don't we go ahead and Justin, Could you go ahead and review from the standpoint of what the planning department has to say about the applicant's request, or anything that concerns that you might have?
No, so we concur with the review comments of the consultants. I will just note, touching on what Kathleen said, that the Sonic special land use approval limited the hours of operation for the drive-through. So this development would be subject to those hours under that special use permit. It was 8 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Thursday, Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., Saturday 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., and then Sunday 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So those were hours established in 2008 for Sonic.
Okay. What you said, I just want to be sure I understood you. 8 a.m. to 12 on Monday through Friday, Monday through
Thursday, 8 a.m. to 12 midnight, Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay, I get you. Anything else that you want to add, Justin? I'm not trying to get you to talk more. I just wanted to know if there's anything else.
I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the consultants? If not, we'll let the applicant present, and then we can ask them questions. So you tell me, commissioner.
I don't have anything.
I don't need that. I'd just like to hear from the applicants.
Okay, applicant, as far as the White Lake Retail Management LLC, the three of you guys, I don't know what your game plan is, but whoever needs to take the lead, feel free to do so.
I'll take the lead. Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Mitchell Harvey with Stonefield Engineering and Design, 607 Shelby Street, Detroit, Michigan. With me tonight from the architectural team is Bo Wynn with Detroit Architectural Group, as well as Brandon Schramm, representing the applicant, which is White Lake Retail Management. As mentioned, we are here seeking preliminary site plan approval for the proposed redevelopment of the former Sonic located at 9328 Highland Road. I'll just do a brief overview of the site and what we're proposing to do, and then kind of open it up to any questions. But
Mr. Harvey, do you have, and I'm not saying you have to, I'm just asking, do you have any things that you want to visually show us so that you can share it with on the screen? And
I have the site plan I can share if
John, do you need to give him permission as far as for sharing? Okay, all right. I guess you did. Okay.
I already had the benefit. So
okay.
Essentially, we're proposing a 5,840 square foot building. This would be a multi-tenant building. To the east, we have a retail user. And then to the west, we are proposing a drive-through restaurant user. As designed, we have a grand total of 53 parking spaces where 53 are required, as well as 8 vehicle drive-through stacking spaces where 8 are required. Let's touch on the landscaping really quick. So we are proposing a grand total of 11 new trees. We are planning on reusing some of the existing trees on site that we deem sufficient to stay alive during this development, and anything that is damaged or dying will be replaced in kind. A lot of the trees that we're utilizing are some of these mature trees to the north here. They're actually quite tall and will provide additional screening to the residents to the north. So we wanted to keep those as opposed to plant new trees. Regarding the lighting, I know there was a mention of the existing nonconformity for the for the property trespass for the light levels. I just want to point out exactly where that is. Down in this corner here is where we have that 4.1, 3.8, where we have some higher light levels. So we don't anticipate it being an issue to any of our neighbors to the east or the west. It was really just for the parking lot in this access drive, because we plan on reutilizing this existing light pole. So I don't want to click around and, cause too much of a headache. So with that, the building itself is going to be a mixture of materials that, include brick that is consistent with the colors and kind of scheme that is going on throughout the corridor here. So we think it's going to be a really nice fit and a great redevelopment of, a currently vacant lot that we think will be able to, be a great benefit to the community. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and we're happy to answer any questions you guys may have. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harvey. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Justin.
I just wanted to real quick touch on something that Mike said about the sidewalk width. So down here, it's 5 feet in the front. That's okay because the parking space is 19 feet in depth. If it was any less than that, then the sidewalk would have to be wider here. There is this 4 foot pinch point here that is going to have to go out to 5. That's a requirement. Up here, the parking space is only 17 feet in depth, so that this area has to be 5 feet wide, 7 feet
7
wide.
feet. Yeah, 7 feet. I was about to say 7 feet, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
7 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Over here, they're on the east side. They're 17 feet wide, but they're overhanging a landscaped area, so there isn't that issue of like people walking through here. So it's okay here. It's okay back
so
here.
Are you saying, Justin, that area of 4 feet? It seems like it was saying 4 feet in that area.
Yeah, this is okay because it's a landscaped area, so there's no sidewalk here where people will be walking.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then the parking along the north side of the site, that's fine. It's 19 feet in depth. If they need more room here to squeeze things, they could go down to 18 feet here, because that's actually the standard is 9 by 18. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Yeah. Be sure, Ms. Barber, that you get that as far as in the notes, so that we can be able to address that if the motion comes up. Okay.
Okay.
I knew I could get you to talk. Okay. Other commissioners, questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Okay.
Maybe questions or observations.
Sure.
Um,
Do you need the the diagram up again or not?
No. If Kathleen would elaborate a little bit on the meet the materials and window requirements issue, that one kind of concerns me a bit. Do we know if they're meeting the requirement? I don't quite understand.
So the requirement is that the amount of facade that consists of per the zoning ordinance, high quality, durable, low maintenance materials such as masonry, stone, brick, glass, or equivalent be 50%. And we simply did not get that calculation from the petitioner. So
I don't know if it meets it or not. Okay.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. So we want them to provide that. And, as I noted, 50% is the minimum, but
we like more of the 70%.
like 70, right.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, so that's been put out there and that's our recommendation, right?
Yes.
The loading space is a little foreign to me. I think I understand it. It's a 10 by 50.
Yes.
And it's required by the general business zoning or, so if the applicant says, well, don't worry about it because we don't plan to get any deliveries until after hours. I mean, I don't quite understand how that, in some respects, I could see where the applicant could be shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, they don't know at this point, I don't think, who the retail is. Maybe they do. But the retail might have a different requirement for daytime deliveries. So could somebody elaborate on that for me, please?
Well, as Justin said, I mean, these hours are pretty liberal. You know, they're until midnight and 2 a.m. at some point. So after hours would seem to indicate that it would be after the restaurant is shut down and the retail is shut down, not one or the other. And I mean, I think we've all been stuck in a drive-through lane at McDonald's where, you know, they're getting a delivery and, you know, it just conflicts with the parking. So
I can try to address that. So I don't know what the Planning Commission was doing in 2008 when Sonic went through, but they essentially gave a variance to that requirement, and they're not under the authority to do that. So they need a variance from that requirement from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay.
Let me just tag on to that, Pete, before you move off to something. So I guess, and want to get back to the applicant to address this, of when you think your deliveries would be occurring with your tenants, so that we could be able to know that, because if all of a sudden the deliveries would be coming in early in the morning or stacking up as far as the trucks before 8 o'clock or whatever else. So if you do know when those deliveries could possibly be, I'd like to go ahead and have those reflect as far as in the minutes and everything else. Mr. Harvey, do you know about that, about deliveries?
Yeah, so we don't have the tenant locked in for the drive-through restaurant space. The hours that were approved in the previous special land use, I think we are agreeable to. The tenant to the east is going to be a mattress retail store.
Okay.
And so the hours for those generally are closed at around no later than 9. So we don't anticipate that being a major loading issue or conflict to these sites. So if I can share my screen again on where we will anticipate loading to occur. So really the game plan will be for loading to occur during off hours where, you know, both spaces are closed and, you know, the site will basically be shut down. We do have this large striped out area here, which doesn't meet the loading space dimensions. But the idea being here is, you know, a truck would pull down in through here, unload any, you know, whatever it may be, dollies, like hand dollies that people would, you know, take off the, you know, the smaller box trucks kind of thing. So the vehicle would be down here. Sorry. Vehicle would be down here. You'd unload off the back, kind of, this would be, I don't want to say a staging area or a storage area. But this is where they would, you know, the employee would take the materials through here and into the rear employee only entrances in the building. So that game plan for loading here. Now we don't this happening during peak periods or even times when the building is open. But I just want to express that we did think about this, that in the event that, you know, the truck arrives early, the truck arrives late, and, you know, the tenants are open, that we did think about this area and this striped out portion here that's why it's not a landscaping island, is for that loading purpose.
You made mention, and I just wanted to be sure I picked up on the retail tenant that you have in this retail space, the 3,000 retail, is the one tenant you said a mattress company?
Yes, a mattress retailer.
Mattress retailer. So they will be having large unloads as far as mattresses and everything like that. So it's not going to be a drop of a box or anything like that. We're talking about queen size, king size mattresses, right? In bulk.
Yeah, once they have the initial floor kind of game planned out and they have the initial mattresses in, that's when the big move takes place, and that's obviously before they're open. After that, it'll be couple mattresses a week as they sell. I don't know the exact delivery methods. I know a lot of mattress stores have warehouses where they actually deliver the mattresses that you would purchase. So if you went to the store, you'd lay on the Tempur-Pedic whatever and say, oh, like that one, and then you don't go home with that mattress today. It's delivered to you from a warehouse somewhere or something like that. I don't know the nitty-gritty details, but I mean, a 3,000 square foot retail store can't house,
tons of
four dozen mattresses. There's not enough room.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Okay. Other commissioners, do you have any questions?
Steve?
Yeah.
I have another point.
Okay, go ahead. Feel free.
By the way, they're still going to have to go through the ZBA on this for the loading space. Justin, if I understood you.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So they're gonna grill them on that. So
yeah, we don't have to worry.
Okay.
Not worry about it.
The buffer zone between Discount Tires, is there room there to put some plantings as required by the?
No, not with the bypass lane for the drive-through.
No room.
There's no room there. We're kind of right up against it. It's more or less an existing condition with the current Sonic. I think they have those overhangs, and the curb gets real close to that property line. And so I think it's just a grassed area that, we'll maintain our side and they'll maintain their side.
So that's just basically a continuance of a non-conformance, Justin?
More or less.
Okay. All right. That's all I got, Steve.
Okay. Other commissioners, do you have any other questions? Mr. Slicker?
Yeah, I just got a comment. So, that the area that he represented as possible loading zone, I mean, I don't know, Justin, it doesn't really block off the escape line for the pullout there. So that's not a bad option. The one thing I did notice is that his access from the building out to the dumpster, wherever he's going to that loading zone, is right into a parking space. So he'd have to do something there to make that work so no one's parking there. Either switch half that crosshatch area off of the parking space. And the other thing I got, a mattress in a restaurant here, you got a lot of parking spaces in the back. I mean, are those really viable parking spaces for your use, or do you feel are those kind of like just extra? I don't know how viable people are to park back there and then walk up to the store, but that's really your business, not mine.
Yeah, in reality, a lot of those will be employee-only spaces for the mattress firm or the mattress store or the drive-through restaurant.
Any other questions, Mr. Slicker? That was it? Okay. Okay, Ms. Carla? You're muted.
Yeah, I have to find the little spot.
The
So
button.
my own question is really for Justin. Like that walk in the front is allowed to be just 5 feet, even though there's overhanging cars. I just feel like bumper blocks they look nice maybe the first day, but after a winter they're moved and bumped, and I guess people still are going to pull up. They don't really look and say, "Oh, I'm in a 19-foot lot space, and so I'm gonna, not pull up."
Oh,
Is it
yeah, I get where
really
you're coming
allowed that they
from.
can't make that 7 foot? Sorry.
I mean, if you want them to make it 7 foot, you could require that. The ordinance doesn't though, because the space is 19 feet in depth. So,
Right. I'd rather cut off some space, and there's not a lot of places that people can walk. Everything, all this parking on the right, where everybody's walking across lanes of traffic, and there's nothing on the side of the building. So that's kind of the only sidewalk for people. And it seems pretty narrow at 5 feet, especially, if you did have people coming in wheelchairs or, walkers, which I see quite a few these days. So that just seems tight, at least, to get back to 7 feet there. That's all I have.
well, you bring up a good point, and Sonic, their parking, the drive aisle was on the east side of the site and the parking was against the building. So not that people really got out and walked in the Sonic, but if they did, they weren't crossing the drive aisle.
Yeah, you pretty much stayed in your car at Sonic. That was part of
Right.
the.
I mean, they could have the drive aisle and the parking swapped, so the parking's against the building, but then, they need a wider sidewalk along the east side of the building.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's,
Yeah, I
they
don't
they
care that
flip-
much
they could
about that.
flip
I mean, I think
but-
people are going to walk through the parking lot, but when they do have a walk, I'd like to see it a little wider.
Yeah, I mean, at this point here, at this corner where it's 4 feet, that'll have to become 5.
Yeah, that's really tight to me.
Well, the only thing that I can respect that, Ms. Carla, I guess the key thing is that I don't want to push people out in the parking lot where cars could possibly, endanger the walking patrons.
I
If we
think
could,
that I'm just going towards 59. I don't think I'm going left or right.
I'm
That's
sorry, say that again.
I'm just talking, well, I can't use my cursor because I'm not sharing, but I think a couple of feet further south and, where that walk would be worthy of the only really improved area where people are going in those doors.
Okay. Well,
I agree with, hey, if I could comment real quick, I agree with Mary too, because quite frankly, when you put those signs there, the signs are the stopping point for these vehicles,
right.
And they don't feel it. So you're going to lose 2 feet there, and you're going to lose that overhang. So these spaces are really smaller than 19 feet when you take that into account. So I'd rather see them go with a 7-foot walk and put these signs on the backside of the walk so that you get the full amount of the space, and because people always use the curb as their stopping point.
Okay. Well, if that's something that we want to look at and ask them to make the preliminary site plan as far as changing those to rework that parking area, then I'm fine with that. So
I feel less strongly about the 7 foot in the back unless they're gonna try to grow trees, but.
okay.
And we have no problem extending that sidewalk to 7 feet. It was just a balance of either a 19-foot parking space and a 5-foot sidewalk, or a 7-foot sidewalk and a 17-foot parking space. So we'll just 7 feet's no problem.
Okay. So Justin, does that create any changes as far as for the ordinance with the ZBA to switch that, add the 2 feet?
Nope. So you can do that. But again, like in the back, that sidewalk will have to go to 7.
Okay. Before I make any comments, commissioners, are there any other questions that you have? Okay. I just needed to get a clarification on the whole idea of the lighting issue. As far as granted, the Sonic had a different type of lighting structure because they needed to have lighting laid out because it was a drive-through and people were car hops were there and everything else. So the lighting was a little bit different. The area that you were talking about where the candles were too high, and you said I think that you tied in, you're going to tie into the lamp pole that is there. The reason why the candles were higher is that, did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. We modeled this light down here, which is an existing light in good condition. And, we really didn't see a reason to remove it. The only downside is that this drive aisle, which frankly, we do want fairly well lit up because it's one of the entrances to our site and one of the entrances to the neighboring site. The foot candles are above that threshold of, I'm blanking on what the requirement is, but it is a little bit above that threshold of the property line trespass. So we're not spilling over into a residential property or even near someone's, building or window. It's just strictly a parking lot that, if you were driving into the site, you wouldn't realize you've crossed the property line kind of thing.
Right. So I understand that. And Justin, I need to rely on you. Is the idea of the increased candles, as far as that, is that going to have an impact on east and westbound traffic off of 59?
I don't believe that the level of light would have an impact on the traffic. Kathleen was just noting in her review letter what the zoning ordinance said.
Okay.
I don't know if is the light lamp, is the lamp changing in the fixture? Or
No, we modeled the existing fixture as is. And I'd just like to point out that we extended the photometric overlay into M59. And by the time you hit the sidewalk even, you're at a 0.0 increase in foot candles. So
okay, that's what I see from that picture. So that's why I was going to ask you, what did the distance of that dissipate the foot candles? And
yep.
It seems like it was justified, but I needed you to tell me that. So okay. The other thing that I was asking, and Justin, are we locked into the hours that was since they're taking over the existing Sonic? To me, I mean, the reason why the Sonic had the long hours is because of how they did business. And so that's why I'm just trying to figure out a lot of the drive-throughs, such as I'd like to see the hours be modified, just like the Taco Bell down the road that has a drive-through, so that we don't come into a situation of conflict with another restaurant, a drive-through restaurant down the road. And I can't remember. I don't know what the hours are for the Taco Bell, and I'm not saying you have to know that either. But
yeah, I can't remember what the Taco Bell hours are. I will say drive-throughs require special land uses. The reason that there isn't a public hearing tonight for a special land use was because Sonic had one and that they were going to use that. Sorry, they're running the vacuum as I'm trying to talk, but if they want to differ from the hours of the Sonic, then they would need to amend the special land use and come back for a public hearing. So if it was different hours of operation, they'd have to come back and amend the special use permit.
okay. Well, we don't want to put any more burden on the applicant. I was just trying to be able to figure out, maybe we need to look at what the hours are as far as for Taco Bell, so that we can be able to, not go ahead and be in competition for the other drive-through. And we want to be sure that the applicant knows that up front, so that if they do get that tenant, then they won't miscommunicate the working hours. That's just my suggestion.
I think you're making a good point. There seems like there should be some consistency in White Lake with regard to drive-through hours.
Right.
I don't know if it would be it would depend on the type of drive-through. That might have something to do with it, but there should be some consistency.
Right.
Could I add something?
Sure.
So the zoning ordinance specifies the hours for drive-throughs and the operating hours. And it's exactly what Sonic has. So, it's 8 to 12, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 2 a.m. Friday, so forth and so on.
Okay.
So if the petitioner wanted to decrease those hours, Justin, would they still have to amend the special land use, or could reduction in hours be made part of a site plan approval?
I mean, you can reduce the hours, but if you wanted to say on, I'm looking at the hours here, on a Thursday, on a Monday morning, for this site in particular, because that was what was, the reason that those hours were applied to Sonic was because that all of their seating was considered outdoor seating. So it was part of the special land use. That's why it was tied to that. So a Taco Bell would have different hours, and I don't have those in front of me, but
I have them.
okay. There
They are 7 days a week, 7 a.m. till 2 a.m. according to their website.
Is that a general or is that a White Lake?
That's White Lake.
Okay. 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 Well, as I said, I'm probably the only member of the commission that was here when Sonic was approved. And the bottom line is I can't remember, why we did those hours, because nobody, even Pete wasn't here when Sonic was approved. I
think you probably did those hours because, they're parking outside and then the people are bringing the food out to the car. So it was probably just like the nature of how Sonic operated was why you adhered to those hours. You applied the outdoor dining hours to the special land use for the drive-through.
Okay. The only other thing that I wanted to be sure that we address that I can think of right now is the signage issue, which they had proposed. Ms. Jackson, please correct me, 4, and currently we only allow 2. Is that how you specify that?
Yes.
Okay, and that was for the retail establishment or for the retail? Or was that for all of them?
For the development as a whole, they
Okay.
can only have 2 wall signs on this location.
Okay.
And they would be on the front, not the sides.
Okay, so I'll go back to the applicant. But the bottom line, if that's the case, then that would mean that if you only wanted to use, each of the your tenants would only have 1 sign, or 2. One would have 2 signs, and and another one not have a sign. Is that how you're understanding?
Yeah, I believe so. If it is a variance, it would be a variance request if we went above the signage. I don't know the intimate details about the proposed signage, and really with the unknown tenant on the restaurant side of things, if we do need to request a sign variance, we will at that time.
Okay. Well, just understand that variants are something that we just don't go ahead and say, hey, yeah, good. I don't want you to use that as a situation with your tenant. And
yeah,
I don't have. So as long as you're aware of it and it's in the reports from that standpoint of what is apart for the preliminary preliminary approval. Okay. I think that was repair the fence, lighting issues, tenants who, loading. Okay, and the facade. Okay, I'm good with all the things that we've addressed. So, any other comments? Okay. Well, is anybody as far as we want to move forward on this to be able to offer a motion? Okay, P. Mr. Maher.
Okay. I move that the White Lake Planning Commission recommend approval to the township, White Lake Township trustees, to the board of the preliminary site plan for the redevelopment at 9328 Highland Road. I'll let Sherry fill in all the rest of that stuff. Subject to the representation made by the participant, specifically of changing the front sidewalk from 5 to 7 feet, and subject to the standards and all department and consultant comments and recommendations.
Justin, is anything else that we should add to that? Is the back has to be 7 feet also, right? Is that
Probably want to add that and mention the loading space,
right?
being a variance.
Okay. Ms. Grubb?
Support?
Oh, okay. I thought you were adding something to
No,
it.
I wasn't.
I'm sorry. Okay. Justin, do you have any other comments or whatever else? Because not, we'll get a call for a roll call vote.
I didn't know if Pete maybe wanted to add those to his motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that was one of Kathleen's recommendations on that loading space. But I think you're right. I don't think it's in there.
No, it's not. It's not in there. She just said for us to evaluate it. It's going to be
Okay.
a situation
Okay.
variance. So we might as well go ahead and include it in the motion of those are the things that we need to have for preliminary site approval.
Sherry, I'll add to the motion that the back sidewalk be increased to the 7 feet also, as well as the acknowledgement that the lack of the loading space will be a ZBA variance request.
Okay. Now, Ms. Grubb.
Support?
Thank you. Okay, could we have a roll call vote? I just want to be sure that no discussion from the applicant. We're okay? Okay.
Can I raise one question?
Okay, sure.
Sorry, Justin, I think this is for you. When I was looking at the zoning ordinance, said if you, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I just wanted to clarify it before the PC voted on it. If you decrease your parking space to 17 feet, don't you have to have an 8-foot sidewalk?
It's 7. Yeah.
It is, okay, so I was reading wrong. Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Let me share my screen real quick. You know what they could do, because they're showing a 9 by 19 space here. You know, the standard space size is 9 by 18, so they could shrink that a foot, and then they could take this to 9 by 18, and that resolves their issue, and they don't need to widen the side. You know, so they can play around with this and maybe not have to widen the sidewalk unless they're set on having a 17-foot space here, and then this has to go to 7. So they can get a little creative. Like I said, the standard parking space size is 9 by 18, not 9 by 19. So
Doesn't that make that aisle off a foot though, if you do that?
Yeah.
I think you just move it, you take a foot here.
No, I'm talking about going in and out of the other parcels.
Right.
East and west.
What do you mean?
Well, if you push, if you take a foot off those north spaces, then your connection to Discount Tire and your connection to the other thing, aren't those off a foot?
Right. And we're already tight on that side anyway.
I don't think it would be an issue, but
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Yeah, if it isn't, it'll be off.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would, just from the standpoint. But anyway, we'll just go ahead and leave it as a motion with the 7 feet, and
yeah,
then
that's fine.
let them go ahead and work out the details, because I agree with Mr. Slicker. It's going to have an impact.
Well, and just a real quick question for Justin here. I mean, you mentioned about the fact that on the east side over here that you get overhang because it's landscaping. I don't know. Is this island that we're talking about landscaping, or is it a sidewalk? It looks like they have a couple crossings there, but is it really a sidewalk? And do they need to have? Yeah. Can they overhang that? Because is it really? It looks like it's landscaping to me.
Well, even if it's landscaping or a sidewalk, it has to be 7 feet.
It has to be 7 feet.
Whether it's sidewalk or landscaped area.
But they can, you said,
building. So over here can be 4. No one's going to be walking over here, but the issue is where people are going to be walking. So.
So let's just.
well,
leave
but I
it
mean,
at
if but I'm saying is, so right now you've got this 2 little crossings here, and I don't know what the purpose of this east one is because you're crossing somewhere to nowhere. And the other one is obviously for their loading area or to get back to the dumpster.
This is a sidewalk here.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a 4-foot sidewalk. I don't know where it.
It's yeah.
Looks like it stops up near the building, like right down to the very southeast quad corner.
Right.
There's a large black line right there, or heavier.
Yeah.
I don't know does that sidewalk all alongside the building, and then looks to me they got 2 exits out the back of the building to go across the drive-through. They got the one crossing to go over to the dumpster in the loading zone, which I mentioned is going to a parking space that they should probably switch that around. And then the other one to the east is, I mean, it crosses to nowhere. I don't know what the purpose of it is, unless they're draining the drive-through area across there. So is that whole strip there? Is it sidewalk or is it just a landscape strip? I don't know if the applicant can answer this.
This is a landscaped area. I guess this is the only sidewalk area. So I guess I was calling it a sidewalk and it wasn't, but.
In the eastern one where you're pointing is not for is not defined as a sidewalk. It's actually we're draining across there to a catch basin to drain that drive-through.
Right.
So when people walk over here, where there's no sidewalk to get over here.
No, there's no sidewalk to the front. They would mostly park along those 17 spaces to the east and the spaces along the south.
So where are the people going to walk to the retail space? In the driveway, in the lane as far as where the cars are parked?
If they were parking up to the north, yes, that would be the intent. But like I stated before, majority of that will be employee parking, and we would leave the spaces closer to the main entrance open for guests and patrons.
But if let's just ask this. So we got people parking here, right? In this area on the east side, right here.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
So
people are parking here.
Right. So when people get out of their cars, and I'm assuming the entrance for the proposed retail space is going to be in the southern area.
Right.
How do they get from their cars to the front of the retail space?
They would walk through the drive aisle to the front there.
So they're walking in the traffic lanes.
Yes, that was the intent.
I don't know.
I mean, if it would make the commission more comfortable, I mean, we could provide that extra foot and make it a 5-foot sidewalk if that's what you guys would prefer. We really thought it would be better landscapes, but if that's part of the motion, I don't see an issue with making that 5 feet.
Along the length of the building?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay.
Be nice to have both, but
Yeah. What'd you say, Mary?
I said be nice to have a little landscape and a sidewalk, but yeah, otherwise they're walking in the road. But I mean, that is something that's pretty common at the mall or wherever.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the case, but a lot of the times they're not an egress or ingress that they have to walk over traffic
Right.
to get to the space. They,
Right, the direct from the highway.
So how do you feel about that, Justin?
I don't have any issue with making the sidewalk 5 feet. This drive aisle has to be 24 feet. So I don't know where that extra foot comes from.
I was going to push it into the 4-foot landscaping over on the east and to add that additional foot. That was my game plan.
Okay. And then I
So
guess,
that'd be
that would be fine.
3.
Right, you could do that. I guess we got to remember whether this is I know I was calling it a sidewalk, but the ordinance says when a parking space that's 17 feet in depth is going to be adjacent to a sidewalk, or a landscaped area. Over here, I don't think it's an issue because there's no one walking. Here, there's going to be people walking, and that's the problem.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys are fine with the 5 feet. I think you said 7. I don't know where you come up with that. Again, how Matt said this isn't going to align, but
Well, I mean, we just got to figure out that's got to be 7 feet, and the idea of this area that's along the proposed retail has got to be 5 feet. So,
right,
you know,
they can work it out.
you guys can work it out. Is key thing is, the problem is that we've got a motion on the floor, and we've got a second on it, and we've got to go ahead and cancel a vote down that motion to go ahead and reinstate a new motion.
I would just offer a friendly amendment to that motion.
I can't do that. You guys can do that. As chair, I can't offer a friendly amendment.
I'll
What
offer
would
you.
be your motion, Justin, what would your friendly motion recommendation be?
I think it would just supplement Pete's motion by, Mary, like what you had said, making this 5 feet here as a requirement, because Pete already covered this up here on the north side. So
Okay.
making the sidewalk on the east side of the building 5 feet.
Yeah, I'll suggest that amendment to Pete.
Just a friendly amendment to Pete's motion.
And then Pete and Rhonda would have to,
Still have to support it.
right? Pete would have to accept it and Rhonda would
And
have to still support it.
Well, why don't I make the friendly amendment, or can I do that?
No, you can't make the friendly amendment. You've got a motion on the floor.
Okay.
Mary can make the friendly amendment. You accept the friendly amendment. Chair can't do it. And then Rhonda can accept it. I mean, support it, and then we can vote. Are you clear on that, Mary? Mary's frozen.
I think she made it so Pete can accept it.
Okay. Pete, will you accept the friendly motion?
I accept the friendly amendment to my motion.
Okay. And Rhonda, will you accept the friendly?
Yes, I will support that accepting.
Okay. Thank you. Now we can have a roll call vote. And Ms. Barbara, you got that in the notes? We okay?
Well, hold on. We're going to run into a problem here because we lost Mary and we can't have any affirmative action without 5 votes. And Mary was number 5. So we'll see if Mary comes back in here. But if she doesn't, then you can't vote on it.
I'm sorry, I dropped out. We had technical difficulties here. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, a whole bunch.
Was there anything that anybody needed from me? I apologize.
No, we need Mary.
While we're waiting for Mary to get back, there is a caller. I'm not sure if it's Joe or if it's public. It's a number ending in 0508. I was wondering if you wanted me to accept that or not, or unmute it.
I don't know who it is.
Okay.
Are you guys expecting applicant expecting any additional person?
I don't know.
Is there any way that John, that you can find out who it is?
Well, the problem is if you let them in, you know, they can't, then they're in. I'd be leery.
Might be Mary coming from another line.
I know that's not Mary's phone number. Yeah.
Oh, so it's not hers.
Yeah, I as I said, I'm sorry. I don't feel comfortable letting them in at this point in time.
I agree.
Okay.
All
right.
Does anybody have Mary's cell phone, or I don't.
I can call her.
Okay. Go ahead, Justin.
Throw a lifeline.
949 area code is Orange County, California.
Oh.
He's a member of our engineering team, but he doesn't need to add anything. He's just calling in.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I had to plug it into the phone to be sure.
Now, we do have a number calling that is a 248 area code. 8737 is the last four. I'm guessing that would maybe be Mary.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay, have her in. Okay.
Hello?
Hey, Mary. Okay, good.
Hey,
Okay, Mary.
Sorry, my house internet went out.
Well, don't worry about it. We just, before it goes out, we're back into the meeting because we couldn't vote, do the roll call because we didn't have a quorum. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the roll call while she's on before we lose her.
Peter
Well,
Mann.
I'm on the phone now, so.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Steve Anderson,
Yes.
Mary Carlock,
Yeah,
Matt Slicker,
Yes.
Rhonda Grubb, yes.
Okay, so the motion and the friendly amendment to the motion has been approved. And so you've got, Ms. Applicant, you've got your work cut out for you, and we'll be happy to pass you on to Justin so he can help you through the minutia.
Okay.
So
Yeah, they'll be on
Thank
the we'll move full steam ahead. Applicant listen to the August 17th Township Board meeting agenda for further preliminary site plan final action.
okay.
And then in the meantime, they can work on their other stuff. But
Well, thank you, applicant. You don't need to hang out. We appreciate your time and your efforts and your support of White Lake.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Night.
Okay, moving right on to other
Good night.
business. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Moving right on to other business, as far as which would create any type of consultants reports, anything that you want to add, Michael?
Nothing for me, Mr. Anderson. Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Jackson, anything that you want to add as far as your consultant reports?
No,
No?
Nothing.
Okay, I'm trying to get this through here. Justin, anything that you want to add and tell what the board did or met or whatever else? Or
sure. So Township Board, they met on July 20th. At that time, they adopted the resolution for the capital improvement bonds for the Bogey Lake Road Water Main project, the DWRF financed program for the water main extension and the Aspen Meadows iron filtration. So they are moving full steam ahead on that. Aaron Potter said they just got their documents in under the wire this week, so that's good. The police department is purchasing new equipment for the booking. So they had a technology purchase that the township board approved. The township board approved the Oakland Harvesters preliminary site plan. They approved the Pontiac Lakeview Apartments preliminary site plan. They had dangerous building show cause hearings for 3 different properties and upheld the order of the dangerous building hearings officer for 2 of the properties, and then gave one of the owners on one of the properties an extension. The board also approved the conversion of township streetlights to LED, and then they were working on some personnel policy and procedure amendments. So that was what the township board did on July 20th. On July 29th, they had a special meeting to declare a local state of emergency in the township for the weather event, the tornado. So there were quite a bit of damage. And I know Mike was here one day last week, I heard, going out with our staff and working with Oakland County and the disaster, the emergency management team to assess the damage. There's almost 1,000 homes that have some type of damage from minor to major. So it was a pretty severe event that affected the northern portion of the township, and even in other areas of the township, the winds were bad and trees came down and gravel roads were washed out. So it's, we're still in a local state of emergency. The governor today approved a state of emergency for White Lake. So that might open up some state or federal funding for us to try to help dig out of the mess that we're in. But I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any. I guess on the planning commission side, we're trying to rope together another subcommittee meeting for the Elizabeth Lake retail to further work out some issues and improvements to their site plan and our architectural plans. So hopefully we can pull something together next week.
Is it, I know that, Pete, you were on that committee, and Rhonda, were you on that committee?
Yeah.
Who else was?
Joe and
Debbie.
Debbie.
And Debbie? Is it any way that you could reach out to, I don't want to speak for the rest of the commissioners, but is it any way, Justin, you could reach out to the two of them and find out if all four of them wants to go ahead and continue on this?
Yep, I know they all want to continue. It's just we're trying to get everyone's schedules aligned for a meeting. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I
And
think I'm the problem child.
speaking of problem child, I have to apologize that I jumped over the Parks and Rec as far as comments from Parks and Rec when I went to Justin. So Rhonda, please excuse. Do you have anything that you want to report from the Parks and Rec?
I do. Thank you. We have not met since our last meeting, and next week's meeting is canceled. Township staff's working on getting some messes cleaned up at the parks. Hidden Pines, Stanley Park, and Better Park just saw minimal damage, just some twigs and small branches down. But Bloomer and Holly had a little bit more damage, and both parks need some tree trimming and some tree removal done to them. Holly Park, DTE caused some lawn damage when they had their trucks down there, so that's got to get taken care of. But as far as all of the parks and the tree removal and trimming, it looks like still looking at about 2 weeks out, Justin, to get those cleaned up.
we actually had another company out to give us a bid, and then they came out the next day to do the work. So the Holly Park work was done yesterday. Mary was here visiting today, and she went out there with me, and we took a little walk down by the problem area, and it already looks 10 times better than what it did before they got here.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to mention that those are black willow trees, and they're the trees that were probably always there. They're kind of a soft tree, so they did a nice job of cleaning it up and getting the park back open. Got the lawn guy working out there, so I think the township did a great job with having a disaster right after COVID, and so when it rains, it pours.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the commissioners before we move to the next meeting date? Okay. Well, on the agenda, our next meeting will be August the 19th. How likely do you know, Justin, that if that meeting is going to occur?
Likely.
Likely?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I should say it will occur.
It will occur. Okay. Okay. We'll probably try to get some more commissioners there. So, I think because Mary said she might want to cheer that one. I think she said that.
I'll what?
Okay.
Where do you think you're going, Steve? We are doing multiple meetings, so you can tune in from or call in from anywhere. There's no excuse.
Oh, no excuse. Okay. Okay.
Unless
Anyway, so we'll probably have the one on the 2nd because there's a couple of other things that will be coming down the road too, possibly.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're hoping to have the draft of the capital improvements plan to you on the 19th, and there might be a couple of other things that might work their way onto the agenda.
Okay, good. So another possibly a 2.5-hour meeting as opposed to an hour and 19 minutes. So anyway, so let's do it by an hour and 20 minutes. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, support.
Support.
Okay, roll call, please.
Steve Anderson,
Yes.
Peter Maher,
Yes.
Mary Carlock,
Yes.
Matt Slicker,
Yes.
Rhonda Grubb, yes.
Okay, good, guys. 8:19. Let's go ahead and go and enjoy life, and we